Sup, y'all, and welcome to another episode of Press on Sports. I'm Jack Vita. Today's going to be a great podcast. If you missed our last podcast, I just want to tell you a little bit about what we did. We did a podcast on backyard baseball, and me and CJ Rivas, we just talked everything backyard baseball, talked about the kids. It was a lot of fun, so if you're interested in that, go back and listen to that. But today, we're going to be talking about the new Incredibles movie, Incredibles 2. I've got a great guest who will be joining me in a second. So we'll just be talking about our opinions on the film, what we thought. We'll take you through this. But first, I need to leave a little warning here that this podcast is going to include spoilers, as otherwise we wouldn't have a podcast to make. So without much further ado, let me bring in today's guest. This is my friend who I went to. It's actually fitting because the first time I met you was when the first Incredibles movie was released, I believe.
That's right.
Yeah. So this is a guy who's a film expert, studied film at Taylor University, Tommy Weber.
Hey there. Good to see you, Jack.
Yeah, good to see you, man. Thanks for making the trek out here, join me in person.
My pleasure. This is going to be a good episode.
So let me ask you real quick, Tommy. I know you do a lot with superhero movies, so I'm sure we'll have some comparisons to make throughout the podcast today. Your favorite superhero movie is what?
Ooh, man. You know, I'm still riding the hype train from Infinity War. I absolutely loved that. But I think maybe I'll have to say Marvel Civil War was up there for me.
I haven't seen that one yet.
It's good. It's on Netflix. But I just liked the competing philosophies and the way that the argument between Captain America and Tony Stark escalated to just such a complex level. Thought it was leagues ahead of where other superhero movies tend to go to.
Wow, I'm gonna have to check that out.
I liked it.
At this time, I should also say quick greeting to everyone who's driving in their cars for 4th of July. Well, it's not even a weekend, it's the middle of the week, but can you believe we're in July already?
It's gone by so fast. I feel like it's still June. I feel like it's June 13th or something.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Summer goes by too quick. But, Tommy, before we get into Incredibles 2 and stuff of that nature, I'm guessing you watched the original Incredibles movie recently?
No, never. No. Yeah.
You got me there.
Yeah. No, yeah, I've seen it. Yeah.
Recently, though?
Not recently.
Okay.
But, I mean, it's still fresh enough in my mind, and I catch bits of it here and there, like either on TV or somewhere else, but yeah.
Yeah, it's a good cable movie.
Yeah.
You're flipping through channels.
Yeah, for sure.
So, yeah, lots of fun. Overall, where does the original Incredibles movie rank in terms of your favorite Pixar movies?
Man, I mean, so for me, top Pixar is just the Toy Story movies.
Yeah.
All three of them are there for me. And then I think maybe Incredibles might be right after that.
Wow.
Sorry. Monsters, Inc.
Okay.
Monsters, Inc., then Incredibles.
All right. So, it's pretty high up there for you.
Yeah, top 5.
And for me, I have it a little more in the middle of the pack.
Okay.
I mean, it's overall solid movie, though, I think.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. Do you think it warranted a sequel?
You know, I think it's so funny because when they announced Incredibles 2, I definitely thought it was way too late. I was like, the boat has been passed, and the window of opportunity is long gone. But they did a good job. They did a really good job, and I'm glad that they made another one.
Yeah, I am too. I actually like that they waited a long time, because one of the things we see right now is studios make these superhero movies, and they're like, all right, we're going to just introduce you to the character in the first movie, and by like the 5th movie, we'll actually get to the action on what's going on here.
Right.
They very well could have made this a trilogy at the time. It was in the era of all those superhero movies starting to become a big thing.
Right. Yeah, that was at the point where I think Spider-Man 3 was still on its way and nobody knew it was garbage yet.
Yeah, those X-Men movies.
Oh, yeah.
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 Superman Returns was around then.
Returns. Never
Batman
saw that
Begins.
one, Batman Begins. That changed the game for superhero movies
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah. Those are great.
But I mean, like, this was a movie for at the age we were when this came out, in terms of what, 10, we were what, 10, 11 years old. This is like the Pixar movie for that age demographic.
Oh, yeah. This was everything as a kid. I mean, superpowers in general are awesome, but anything that had to do with superheroes was, it didn't matter how good or bad it was the best thing in the world.
Yeah, I thought the writing in that movie was terrific. It was great, really clever, did a lot of fun stuff.
Yeah, that's something that's always so great about Pixar, is how seriously they take story, and they will, I mean, if something isn't working, they will throw it all out and start over and like keep working at it until it's perfect.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I like that you brought up that we had to wait a long time for this, because we definitely did 14 years, and it was fun because they issued a little, a PSA, an apology right before the film came out. You saw the cast?
Yeah, that video was, I was not feeling that video though.
No?
I was just like, the whole time watching it, I was like, yeah, you made us wait 14 years, you're gonna make us wait 5 more? Like, we get it. Like, movies take a long time, let's just watch it.
Yeah. I just didn't think they had to apologize to us. I was like, whatever. That could have been a fun post-credits thing, because I waited after the credits. There wasn't anything there.
Oh, yeah? I had to bolt for the bathroom after, so I was hoping I didn't miss anything, but I'm glad now that I know that.
Yeah, it's just all those superhero movies condition you to wait.
Yeah, I mean, I think even Big Hero 6 had ending after the credits.
Have not seen that yet.
Oh, it's good. Yeah, worth seeing for sure.
Yeah, so today we're going to go deep in this movie. We're going to talk about, again, as I mentioned, there are spoilers in this. We're going to talk about the whole movie. We're just going to go through it chronologically of what we saw, what we liked, our general opinions, and explore some of the themes of this movie. It should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's do this. You want to start with the short?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Bao. That was...
I didn't know what it was called.
Yeah, that was the title. BAO. But yeah, I liked it. That was definitely, I mean, after that I was like, I gotta call my mama. Gotta tell her I love her. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're a guy that got married recently within the last year or two, so...
Yeah.
Did you relate to that at all in any way?
In Bao? Well, I mean, Bao is more of a mother-son relationship than a husband-wife relationship.
Yeah. But no, you felt like you had to call your mom.
Had to call my mom, yeah. Gotta tell her I love her. Yeah. But, it was... I really liked it. I thought that it was just heartwarming and really sweet. But how about you?
Yeah, I liked it a lot. I had no idea what direction they were going with it. I was confused at first. I was like... First of all, I didn't know what kind of food that was that she was cooking.
Dumpling.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. And so then she's got this little dumpling walking around with her, playing soccer. She's scared that he's too young, he's going to get hurt playing soccer. And that was a lot of fun. Yeah,
it was interesting. When it was happening at the time, I wasn't quite sure where it was headed. And then when they cut and you see the sun actually standing in the doorway, it all like came full circle for me.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, that was powerful. That was really good.
Yeah. And that was like, I was very confused when she ate him.
That part confused me too. That one I need to like rewatch and just kind of understand a little bit more of like, I don't know, maybe that was like supposed to be like, maybe she said something to her actual son that she just like can't take back and like really regrets, or maybe or, I don't know.
It seemed like she wasn't ready for him to grow up.
No, yeah.
And she was having a tough time. I actually was thinking when he showed up, I was like, is this the prodigal son type of thing where he just came back and he had been gone for a long time?
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Yeah. I think it was just, I think it is just a growing up story, and like a thing where, you know, she doesn't agree with all of the decisions that, you know, he's making and stuff. It seemed like she wasn't a big fan of his girlfriend.
Yeah.
Or anything like that. But
yeah,
then,
which you did not have to relate to.
No, I did not. No, yeah. My lady has won over the family like hundreds of times. Yeah.
Great. I think that's the short, unless you have any other thoughts on that.
No, yeah, that's it for me.
Yeah, I think we hit on that pretty precisely, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
So then we finally get to the action. We get to the opening of the movie. However, you were probably able to be a little patient with the short because I know you love your Pixar shorts.
I love Pixar shorts. Pixar shorts are more often than not my favorite parts of seeing Pixar movies. I think that they're so great, especially these last couple ones have been really killing it. A couple of my favorite ones were, I like Sanjay's Super Team.
Yeah, I didn't see that one.
That one was really good. That was the short before The Good Dinosaur.
Yeah, I saw The Good Dinosaur, which was pretty bad.
Yeah, that was so bad. This is uncharacteristic of Pixar.
I didn't see it in theater, so I didn't see the short.
But. Oh, you're lucky. But no, Sanjay's Super Team was really good. I also really liked... There's another short that Pixar made that didn't show up before any of the... movies because they wanted to make one that was more mature, more adult in theme. It's like a Western called Borrowed Time. And that one was really good. It was very sobering and just an interesting concept. It's worth checking out. It's on Vimeo. It's only like 5 minutes long.
Okay.
But yeah, Borrowed Time is really good.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm sure the listeners and I will have to check it out.
Yeah.
My favorite Pixar movie is A Bug's Life, for the record.
Yes. Bug's Life. That one had a really good short too. That one was
Jerry's Game.
Jerry's Game.
Yeah.
Jerry's Game is classic.
Yeah, that's the classic that I think of when I think of Pixar shorts.
Yes.
And that's a movie that will be podcasted on later this summer.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Man, Bug's Life. I have to rewatch that. It's so good.
It's great. So let's talk about this. We're here. We're at The Incredibles now.
Yeah.
We're finally 14 years later.
Man,
and
finally.
It opens up with Tony Reidinger, I believe is his name.
Right.
Getting his memory erased, which was like a Men in Black type of device.
Yeah. Or that Tommy Lee Jones looking guy.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah.
His name is, I got it here, Rick Dicker.
Rick Dicker.
He takes good care of the supers.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, they're kind of their agent almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this was a cool opening, I thought, looking back on the events, but then simultaneously showing us what's going on.
Yeah, it was cool seeing the events of the end of the movie through the eyes of a civilian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we saw, so this is how The Incredibles ended, which this is what was interesting. I talked about with some friends after the movie came out. Would you have rather seen a continuation from the last movie where you see, okay, here's the Underminer, which was like the tease back in 2004, or would you have liked to see this family in a different stage where now all of a sudden Jack is a little kid, it's a few years later, and Dash is maybe in 8th grade, Violet's in high school. Violet may be in high school at this point, but...
Yeah, I think she is.
Okay. But would you have liked to see the family a little bit older, or were you glad that this was just a straight continuation from the last movie?
Having seen it now, I'm glad that they did a straight continuation. I really liked what they went for, and I think that there's more to go off of in relation to a superhero's relationship with the public, where they're still fighting for being allowed to be legal again. I think that was right. But when they first announced that, I thought that was really weird. I thought that they should just jump ahead in time the amount that we've had to wait, so we see who they are 14 years later. I thought that would be the play. But I liked what they did instead.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm glad that they continued it because it would have been weird. I would have always wondered what happened to John Ratzenberger. Why isn't he showing up in this Pixar movie if we don't see the Underminer? So I like that. I also love the way they did this. Like I said, simultaneously showing us, like in retrospect, of Tony talking to Rick Dicker, and then simultaneously showing us what's now going on through that, as now it's all of a sudden it's happening in the present. So I like that a lot.
Yeah.
And it was hilarious when Violet takes off her mask and he's just like, it's like, is he traumatized by that? Is he just very confused by that?
Right, just blown away, like, oh my gosh, she's got superpowers. She's one of those super mutants.
And it's really funny because this is where we're first introduced to the idea of, okay, go wait with Jack Jack, which seems like a continuous theme in this movie where you don't want to be the one stuck with Jack Jack. You want to be getting in on the action. However, Jack Jack ends up to maybe be the ultimate hero in the end, which is fun.
Yeah, Jack Jack was. It was funny how he was kind of treated as an anchor, and then you see that he's got all these crazy powers that hit him, and it didn't occur to me either until partway through the movie that they didn't actually see Jack Jack exhibit any powers when he wrecked Syndrome.
Yeah.
So the fact that they were all blown away about it, I was like, yeah, of course. But then,
So then the next thing we see is they're called into action and they all end up helping out. And this was a really great... I think this is a great way for the sequel to open up. So we get to see them all doing a little bit. It wasn't just one of them fighting. So we got to see that they all still have their powers. They're all still powerful. They have fun fighting together. Also, I think this is about 3 months after Syndrome, the whole Syndrome incident.
Talking about the Underminer fight?
Yeah.
I think that makes sense. I think that's a fair assessment that it's taken some time and now they're more well-adjusted and stuff.
Getting back into society after the island.
Yeah.
It may have even said 3 months later at the end of the first Incredibles.
That makes sense, too.
Yeah. But it was a lot of fun. So then I thought it was hilarious how they keep passing Jack Jack back and forth while they're all racing over to fight.
Play a little baby football. Yeah.
So
I like that. It was cool seeing them function as a unit in the Underminer fight and seeing how much they could accomplish together as a team.
Yeah, definitely. So that was really cool. So then the next thing is so they fight the Underminer and he gets away, which is kind of similar to the opening of the first movie where Bon Voyage gets away and they're just like, so you did all this and he got away and stuff got destroyed, and then this is the first part we see with the media putting some sort of spin on this, where it's like these heroes just make things worse, and that's going to be a theme that we watch throughout the movie.
Right, and that's something that I think is interesting seeing in movies, and it always bothers me a little bit in superhero movies when you see all this crazy destruction happening to cities and everyone in the city is just like, oh, thank you, and all this stuff, and like, they don't really address all the construction work that has to happen afterwards and all the things that have to get fixed and the taxes will skyrocket. And so I really like when movies like Incredibles, or I think Spider-Man Homecoming did this, or Marvel Civil War, when they address no, there is a fallout to the disregard for your environment when you are in the middle of these fights, and you gotta try to keep the fight away from people so that you can do what it takes to stop these people. But if you're just doing what it takes and you're around civilians, you're getting a lot of people hurt in the process. So I think I like it when movies address that situation.
I think The Incredibles as a franchise does a great job of playing the what-if game. What if superheroes were real? Would we accept them in society? What kind of role would they play within society? And I think it's real believable that they would be rejected.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, too, in some scenarios where it's the only difference between a superhero and a vigilante is the fact that they have powers. And when you think about it in that way, it's almost like they are walking unregistered weapons. And so it's interesting to think about, would we trust a stranger to do the right thing if he's got guns for fingers?
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
That's a good point. So then we see Frozone. He's in this scene too, helping out.
Yeah, Frozone. And so great. Fan favorite.
Total fan favorite. Is this the part where we see him talking to Honey again, or was that later? I can't remember.
I think that was the scene. That was the
so
scene.
That's the callback to Where's My Super Suit?
Right. And I liked that they didn't milk that. I liked it was just a little thing, and then they moved past it. I thought that was the appropriate amount of of time to spend on honey.
Yeah, so like the opening of this movie is basically fan fiction. It's everything that you think about, and all of a sudden now it's just out there, and you're just having so fun seeing it all come together.
It's just really going ham with all the possibilities.
Yeah, absolutely. So then we have the fallout of this whole thing, and I can't exactly remember what happens. Does the government basically say, like, you need to go into hiding again, or...
Well, what happened was the Underminers plan got sort of foiled, but at great cost to the city and a lot of destruction. And then Dicker was able to put them in the witness protection program one more time as a result of this, because they were just out in the open doing this stuff. But then the news, of course, ran with this and talked about how this is irresponsible and this can't be happening, and what are we doing to stop this, and like, why is the government covering for these people? And so then the government shut down the witness protection program for them. So it was the last time that they were going to be able to utilize Dicker to cover for them whenever they get caught doing super stuff.
Yeah, so that's what we see. We also see Frozone fleeing the scene, where I think he freezes. Does he freeze a cop?
I think that's the first one. He froze a cop. I think this one, Frozen, I think was just able to get out of there.
Okay,
maybe.
I thought he may have frozen someone's feet.
Oh, that sounds familiar.
They get out of the car, they see him. I thought that was a cop.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Stay patient with us, guys. We only saw this movie once. I'm sure there are some listeners who have seen it 4 times. And
right.
are like, wow, you guys are idiots.
Yeah.
But, so now we get to the part where now they're living in a motel, and they're still struggling with living in society and not knowing what to do with their powers. And they seem, once again, very bored.
Yeah,
especially Mr. Incredible.
Yeah, there's definitely that lost sense of purpose. He had it for a second where he could be his hero again, and now it's gone. And I think his kids are kind of feeling the strain of that too. At least Dash. But then you've got Violet, who's just trying to focus on being a teenager, and then you have Elastigirl, who is most concerned about the kid's safety and doesn't want to do superhero stuff anymore because of the fact that it's illegal, and that kind of comes into play too with some of the themes of, well, is it more important to do what's right, or is it more important to follow the law? Even if we have the ability to do what's right, are we what's best for society? And yeah.
So here's the first taste of deep stuff that we get.
Yeah,
this is where it starts to get deep with some of these themes, and then Frozone shows up at the motel, and he says, hey, I got some kind of he's like, I got away, I didn't have to deal with any of that. And then he says, I got some kind of a contact to go over to this DevTech corporation.
That's right.
And he said, there's this guy who wants to meet with some supers. And I was thinking, wow, they're really going to fall for this again?
Yeah, this sounds too familiar.
I'm surprised how trusting they were.
Right, they're like, oh, the last time a rich guy approached us with superhero jobs, we almost died.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me a little bit of X-Men, where it was like, find the mutants.
Right. Oh, man. But this time it happened to work out well for them, so, I guess they lucked out. To an extent. So I guess they lucked out.
So we're introduced to Winston and Evelyn. I keep forgetting her name. I'm just like, she's the shady one.
Yeah, Evelyn.
And I love this. So they're a telecommunications corporation that... were they continuing their parents' company, or did they do it themselves?
They were continuing their parents' company. It was kind of a Bruce Wayne situation.
Yeah.
But instead of them becoming Batman, they just, well, at least Winston just really believed in superheroes and wanted to provide the funding for them to help bring their reputation back.
So, Tommy, I think you can help me here with a little bit of the backstory, because this is important. I knew this was going to be an important flashback at the beginning of what happens to his parents.
Right.
One of my family members started whispering to me during this, so I missed a little bit of this. So,
No theater whispers.
Yeah, I know. And then the same person whispered to me again a later point, which I'll also need your help on.
All right.
Yeah, it just said stop. Like, please stop.
Yeah.
But I saw the part where he's basically... I don't exactly know what his role was with the superheroes, Winston's dad. But I did see the part where... So they talked about he's really tight with them, and he had these phones, and he tried calling them all up, and no one came in time, and he got killed.
That's kind of that's all the important beats, was he was just somebody who really believed in the supers and kind of helped with setting up these emergency lines, like the classic old school superhero stuff, and yeah, but nobody came to answer in that time because it was illegal.
Yeah. So, how do you know them? That's what I was wondering, because that's the part that I missed.
That part I'm blanking on. I'm not entirely sure how that one worked.
All right.
Yeah.
That's fine.
My bad.
I can cut that out.
Yeah.
So, but Winston just still thinks superheroes are the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
We're introduced to him, and I loved him as a character.
He was great, and I also love Bob Odenkirk as an actor, and so I just enjoy hearing his voice. He has such a smooth voice.
Yeah, one of my family members, I think he said, "Oh, that's the guy from Breaking Bad," while we were watching the film.
Saul Goodman.
I think you can guess which family member that was.
Right.
I don't want to publicly embarrass him or her.
No, man. But that show's great, and he's great in it, and yeah.
But Winston's a lot of fun. He sings the theme songs, which was fun. You missed that during the credits. They played all the different theme songs for the superheroes. Did? Yeah.
Oh, that's great. That's really cute.
They'll probably release that on some soundtrack or something.
Yeah.
But I love Winston because some people who listen to podcasts, they only know, oh yeah, I'm a podcaster, but my actual part-time I should note, is I do work in public relations. So I'm very familiar with a lot of the stuff of the sin of spin, as they call it in the industry. And Winston, we keep seeing this throughout, where they take Elastigirl into this bad part of town, and he's just like, it's a superhero's playground. Like, he's trying to spin everything positively. I thought that was a lot of fun. I love that.
Oh, man. He could sell an ice cube to an Eskimo.
Yeah, he could.
Yeah. I really liked the dynamic between the brother and sister and their different approaches and beliefs to what superheroes mean to the world. And I guess we gave the spoiler warning ahead of time, so I can just
go
say
for
this.
it.
The minute I laid eyes on Evelyn, I pegged her as the bad guy.
I did too.
Yeah. It was just she just seemed shady.
Yeah.
But then I think just the way they designed her character with just the sunken villain eyes and stuff. And also I felt like I noticed there was this ongoing, from like the very first thing that she contributed to the team, was all this data and stuff in support of Elastigirl's effectiveness to saving the city versus Mr. Incredible's penchant for destroying things.
Right.
And I forget how she worded it, but there was some way that she worded it that made me feel like she was trying to drive a wedge between them. It was more than just making it about a PR play, and a little bit more about trying to pit them against each other almost. And it didn't turn out the way how I thought it turned out when they did go against each other later, but that was something that I had picked up on and got suspicious of.
Yeah, I thought right away, the fact that they were going into this, I was like, there's got to be some form of conflict. So I doubt they're calling them in and they're actually going to find villains for them to fight. Like, I thought there was going to be something internal here. I was a little weary of Winston because he kept putting the spin on everything, but at the same time, I really wanted to like him. So I'm like, I really hope he's not a part of this. So I was happy that he wasn't.
Me too. Yeah, and I thought it would be too easy, too, to be like, oh, the PR guy who spins things for a living is actually the bad guy, and like corporate's evil and like all that stuff. Yeah. That'd be too easy for Pixar.
Yeah, I think so. So, definitely the part where right away, right when she's called into action, there's a train that goes, it's a runaway train that goes the opposite direction that they're opening up. I was like, there's got to be something here.
Right.
Especially the screenslaver idea. It was kind of similar to what Iron Man 3.
A little bit in that the Mandarin was able to reach out to a lot of people, where I think it's different is, well, the Mandarin was just reaching out to people in the same way that terrorist cells reach out to them just to speak with people. Screenslaver, is specifically utilizing technology to hypnotize people. Yeah.
But the idea of, I'm going to use these other people to look like they're the face of being the villain, but I'm the actual villain.
Right, yeah. Makes sense. I thought the concept of the screenslaver was interesting and really timely. For these days, I mean, technology is always a topic of discussion, and I think that they did a good job making the screenslaver kind of hammy and kind of like using very tired cliches in the public declarations, and then when you find out that person was just a front for the actual screenslaver, I thought that was really good. That the actual villain wasn't this monologuer, wasn't this person who has these like a 15-year-old's idea of what how the world works or something. And I liked that.
Yeah, but so this was really cool. So they're brought in by DevTech, and basically what Winston establishes, his goal is, and then having that flashback of what happened with the parents, it definitely made sense, which made Evelyn similar to Syndrome in a lot of ways, where you can understand where her intentions are coming from.
Right, she's been disillusioned by heroes as well, and it's interesting seeing how Winston, on one hand, just cast the blame on the government for making supers illegal, and it's just like, well, if the world would just see supers as the good thing that they are again, then something like that won't ever happen again, whereas Evelyn was like, they should have been there, period, and it's ridiculous that he didn't just dial 911 instead of relying on these masked freaks. I thought that was a good way to approach, the two ways you can look at those situations of a lost loved one.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. I thought that was really cool. And he basically pitches, all right, here's the idea. I want to make supers legal again, but we're going to have to we got to be strategic about this. So this is more PR stuff that I'm enjoying.
Yeah.
And Elastigirl was the natural choice for if they're going to try to do this again. Let's go with a female, maybe less offensive, like you said. Maybe Mr. Incredible's just breaking stuff, but
I think if I were working for a PR firm, I think of Frozone, Elastigirl, and Mr. Incredible, I'd pick Elastigirl also.
Yeah, me too.
Especially just because of the destruction alone. The fact that Elastigirl can't topple a building with her stretching powers is a safe place. She's very much more, like being rubbery, like you are just naturally a cushion. You're much more built for protection than you are for smashing. So I think that I would have picked that too, to win the graces of people again.
Yeah, and I think it was cool. Similar with right now, I feel like we really want to, as a society, create more female leaders and empower young women. And I feel like she was someone that could be a role model for a lot of young girls.
For sure.
Just definitely less offensive of a face than maybe someone like Mr. Incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that, there's definitely a play in that too. I think they did a good job not mentioning that in the movie.
Yeah.
Just because I think that would skew weird because of how weird of a relationship PR has with people already, and then to pick a very good thing in giving little girls role models while also making these PR people suspicious, I think would send a mixed message. So I'm glad that the focus was more on the destruction thing than trying to mix in a good message that is tied to things that people are normally wary of. Marketers and PR people is normally something that people like to hold a veil up against. And
yeah, definitely. She's a great selection. I'm a big fan of Elastigirl. She's my favorite of the Incredible family.
Yeah, I mean, her power is awesome.
Yeah. And it's a great chance for Pixar to really get creative. We saw her flying in this movie.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, I didn't realize she could fly, but it makes sense.
Right, and then she had that sick motorcycle. And
Yeah, so they give her bike, and we find out that in her past, she had a bike and a mohawk, apparently.
Right. Right, I want to see that Elastigirl in like a flashback or something. Yeah.
I don't know if I do. But basically, so they say, this is how it's going to go. We're going to get Elastigirl. We got to be careful about this. We got to be very calculated. I think it's the right move. It's the right selection. And also, the other thing I was going to say is that she's a mom, too. So she's relatable.
Right.
Moms are superheroes, which I mentioned on the last podcast.
That's
so
right.
It's all perfect.
Yeah.
And this is going to enable Robert Parr. I'll refer to him as Robert Parr in this instance because he's not actively Mr. Incredible.
Right.
And he's supposed to be more than Mr. Incredible. If you go back to the last movie, that's what she asks of him. And throughout the first movie, he's basically Mr. Incredible. He can't be anything more than that. Yeah. This is going to enable him the most amount of growth that I think we'll see out of a character in this franchise so far, which I think was a really cool touch.
Yeah, I really liked I liked the Mr. Mom plotline that he had, and trying to handle everything that Elastigirl was able to handle, and dealing with the kids, and also trying to deal with the fallout of accidentally wiping Tony's memory and getting violently mad at him, and
oh, that was good. So they get a new house.
They get a new house, an amazing house. Super jealous.
So you get the fun stuff of Dash being super excited and just opening up portals of the floor and the water and whatnot.
Yeah, that was the one thing that I was like, there's part of me that was like jealous of the house, but I knew that just the thing where you can just open up a swimming pool anywhere, I was like, oh man, my worst nightmare was, and then he dropped the couch into the pool. I was like, yeah, that's it. That's my worst nightmare right there.
So were you a little weary of this idea that they made Elastigirl a suit that did not come from Edna Mode? Was that a sign of caution?
Oh, I thought it was funny. I mean, it is a sign of caution as well too, just being like, oh, they're going for somebody else. But I thought that was hilarious too, because I knew that Edna wouldn't take kindly to that.
Yeah.
And then sure enough, she was pretty upset.
Yeah. So we don't get to see Edna for a while, but her appearance was definitely worth it down the road.
Glorious. Oh yeah.
So
in all her fabulousness,
she's great.
Yeah.
She's a great character. Absolutely great character. The other thing is, so Robert is definitely motivated in this instance to basically be like, they have this scene where they're laying in bed, and he's basically like, if you do this, I'll be able to be a hero again. So it's clear what his intentions are, but there is a motivation that he loves his wife and wants to do the best thing for the family. And they don't know what to do in order to make money, which is, they do mention a paycheck.
Yeah.
Which is interesting, because we were wondering on the last podcast, how do superheroes make their monies?
Right, how do superheroes make their money? And I think that kind of builds into a concept that I feel not a lot of superhero stories have tried to attempt. The only other superhero story I can think of that touched on that was one of my favorite comic books of all time, The Watchmen, which actually I think is what Incredibles is loosely based on.
Oh.
It's Watchmen is definitely a much more adult story, but it's about superheroes becoming vilified and hated in the community, and there's this requirement of like, you either have to hang up the cape or you sign up with the government, and then we're going to ship you over to Vietnam, and you'll be superheroes over there for the Vietnam War. Oh, and like
interesting.
It was really interesting. But then and then they kind of go into this interesting idea of superheroes getting either a paycheck from the government or other superheroes who were like sponsors for companies. So there was some like Victoria's Secret type of company that was like, you know what, we should get a superhero like this, and so they got this female superhero and called her the Silk Spectre, and she was like a walking billboard for their like lingerie or something, and it was if I'm remembering correctly. It's been years since I've read it, and hopefully I didn't make a lot of people mad or something. But that was an interesting idea of like, what if there was a superhero that was like, I'm Walmart man. I'm here to cut crime down and slash prices.
Oh, that's good. So, so now we get this all set up. So Elastigirl goes out into a superhero's playground, and this train goes... I don't know how... It goes away.
Backwards.
Yeah, it goes backwards. And... yeah, we could tell where this was going.
Yeah, it was headed. Just headed right off the tracks, and Elastigirl luckily saves the day and is able to stop it. And then you learn about the screenslaver hypnotizing the conductor, and then that's where the real mystery starts to begin.
Yeah. So then. The next part, I think, is when she goes on it's a news station or some TV show where they're doing a little profile, sit-down interview with her.
That's right, yeah, like a CNN-type show,
And once again, who's there is Evelyn. She's the one who sets up the interview and is, like, off stage, and all of a sudden everything's going awry.
Yeah. Just perfectly positioned to keep herself clear of suspicion, because the screenslaver's off somewhere else, air quotes, and then everyone gets enslaved by the teleprompter.
Yeah. Which this was interesting. Someone in my family thought this movie would have been a little creepy if you're watching this as like an 8-year-old. A little spooky.
A little bit. It might be a little spooky. I think that it's par for the course though for Incredibles. With, I mean, in the first one they had like dead people and I mean the fact that they even dealt with death and seeing skeletons and stuff is it's a bit different from what other Pixar movies go for, but I think that I'd say for the most part there weren't a lot of kids in the theater anyway, though. I saw a lot of adults sitting with me for Incredibles.
I saw a lot of kids actually.
Oh yeah,
but I went the second weekend.
Oh okay, yeah.
But there are definitely a lot of people our age. We were the target demographic for this movie. So
there are kids out there who didn't even know. My wife has like a little Monsters Inc. thing on her name tag. She works at a children's hospital. None of the kids recognize Mike Wazowski.
Oh no!
They don't know about Monsters Inc.
Oh no!
Because they're watching Cars and stuff, and that was the other thing too. Is it was like Cars is their Toy Story.
Oh come on, that's not right. Yeah. So then we get this whole Robert's first day on the job of taking care of the kids.
That's right.
Which is really funny.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, thinking he can handle it, and then all of a sudden just getting his butt handed back to him real quick. Yeah.
He struggles with keeping Jack in his crib, and he's just having a rough time. But I love how I think he goes to bed for a little. He sleeps for maybe like a couple hours there.
A little bit, and then Jack gets into that fight with the raccoon.
Was that night?
I think it was that night.
Okay.
That was, because that's the night that Mr. Incredible learns Jack has powers.
Okay. I thought that was like a later night.
I think that was the same night, because that was, I think he didn't know what was going on with like Jack getting out of the crib and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And then you see Jack have this huge fight with the raccoon, and he's like, "What are you doing outside? How'd you get there?" And then he starts manifesting his powers in front of him, and you're like, "Oh my gosh!"
And I'm wondering why that raccoon kept coming for more and more. I thought he would have retreated.
That thing's got a death wish. Must have been a rabid raccoon, man.
Yeah, I don't know what he was doing.
That was that was some Mortal Kombat fatalities.
I mean, you're getting lit on fire. You're getting laser beams sniped at you. He's just punching you and whatnot, and you keep coming back for more.
For real, that raccoon's the real villain of the story.
maybe, but I really like this when Robert he decides like, all right, you know what? I gotta do this. I gotta man up. I'm gonna take care of my family. That's what I'm supposed to do. So he goes to sleep for a few hours, gets up early and he learns the math stuff and he teaches it to Dash, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, I thought that was really great. It was nice to see him be a dad and be successful at what he's trying. It wasn't just 100% failures all the time. You just saw him being a good dad and having a hard time, as dads do, but not completely being like, and that's why you should leave it to mom.
Yeah.
Like that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't the punchline, which was nice.
Yeah.
And Violet, meanwhile, is having a rough time with her date because...
Right, because poor Tony got his mind zapped.
Yeah.
And she had that incredibly painful encounter at school.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That was hilarious.
Yes.
So I feel this is like sad for both of them because he has his memory washed and then she goes and he doesn't show up to the date. And this is, again, that was something left off from the first movie where... She basically says, "Hey, I like movies. I'll buy the popcorn." And there he doesn't show up.
Right, he left her stranded, and then he tries to make up for it with the dinner date later, and trying to like go to the restaurant that he's a waiter at.
Yeah,
and stuff, and which is I think one of the best animation sequences ever is seeing her eyes like bug out and the water shoot out of her nose was hilarious.
It was so funny. I think that was so funny. I may have been one of the only people laughing in the theater during the scene where she shows up to him at school and he's just thinking, who's this crazy girl who thinks we're dating? And I don't know if you noticed this, he had some kind of a presidential campaign sticker in his locker.
Oh, he did? Like he was like running for like school president or something?
No, like he was supporting a political candidate.
Like an I voted sticker?
No. It said blank for president. I don't know whose name it said, but...
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
I wonder who it was.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's like a reference to any of the any like previous Pixar movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet there's like an Easter egg in there for that.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
And then maybe like a little bit of a piggy bank hanging out of the locker or Buzz Lightyear.
Yeah, right. Or like the like Sully's fur pattern or something. Yeah.
So that was this is where the first thing we see. And this is, I think they do a great job in this movie of wrestling with some social and political themes without having a necessarily political statement that they're trying to make.
Well, what do you mean?
Well, you see them protesting for the supers. Should we legalize the supers? I think the supers are an oppressed group in some capacities.
Right.
And so I think there's stuff where there's a role of government in this movie. Are they going to allow them to be free? What's the deal? Meanwhile, they're not making some big-time political statement through the movie. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, it's interesting seeing politics get involved and imagining this what-if scenario of, like, you know, if these superpowered beings do, like, how will the government respond to that? Because obviously the government would have to have some kind of response or statement ready.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can't just let this happen without anyone talking about it.
And it's wrestling with these what-if questions that you mentioned, meanwhile putting it through the lens of what would, like, realistically, what would happen, how would the public react to it, because we've been having a lot of these marches and protests recently.
Right.
And I remember there's a part where they're, like, I think she's driving through and there are people protesting for supers, but there are also people who are against supers at the protest.
Yeah, on either side of the lane, and everyone having strong feelings about it. And it's such an interesting idea of, you know, on the one hand, we have these people who are fully capable of protecting us and doing the right thing, but is that responsibility immediately thrust on them just because they're born super? Like, does the government all of a sudden have the right to dictate what they do with their lives? Or is it even right to tell them that, like, they can't use these powers either? It's, you know, it's kind of an interesting debate on it's almost like a gun control debate, but if somebody was born with a gun.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, because then it's like, well, you can, because then can you expect somebody to apologize for being born with this in their nature already, and does the government have the right to step into somebody's life when it wasn't their choice to have this in the first place? Yeah.
And I remember we see that little girl holding a sign, and she's like, oh, like, hi, and it says, like,
the screenslaver is
still underlined out there. And we're like, whoa.
Yikes. Yeah. That was the other thing, too, is I think that girl, like, didn't even understand what she was holding. It was, like, something that her parents made her hold or something. Yeah.
And that's something that you could probably see today.
Yeah, there's a lot of times
we'll dance around that subject.
Yeah, we can dance around that one. Yeah.
But no, yeah, I think Pixar once again doing a what if situation. I thought that was cool. And then this is where I see some parallels with X-Men movies, because there's the oppressed with these mutants, and they don't know if they're supposed to hide their powers or what. Right,
which, I don't know if you knew this in episode, X-Men were created as like an allegory for the civil rights movement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think they can be a symbol for any group that feels oppressed.
Exactly. And I think that's what makes it's so funny how, there's this rule in story writing, the more specific you make the story, the more universal it becomes. And it's so interesting how there's nothing relatable about having laser vision. Nobody has laser vision. But having a movie about people responding to laser vision, people being vilified for having it, and the person who has it feeling like that's not fair because they didn't choose to have it, and all of that comes with it, it all of a sudden becomes so much more relatable, because everybody's like, well, I don't have laser vision, but I have other stuff that I feel like I shouldn't be held responsible for. I shouldn't be blamed for having in my life just because I was born that way. And like, yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. Definitely. So that was really cool. I think we could skip ahead a little bit, and we'll go back with some other things too. But so then we end up seeing Elastigirl, what she thinks. So we'll come back to this, but they think that they've gotten the screenslaver. And I think around this time is when all these other people with powers are coming out and saying to her, wow, you're a big time hero to me. We all relate to you. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I thought it was so heartwarming to see other heroes looking up to these OG supers.
Yeah.
And seeing that, like, oh no, there is a way, there isn't, this isn't something I have to hide. There are people out there who I can emulate that would do the right thing, and I want to do the right thing too. I thought that was a really sweet moment.
Yeah, and it was cool seeing some new powers, some new characters. I believe her name is Void.
Yes.
She really, I think, is the face of them all.
Yeah, she was definitely the poster child for the next generation of supers.
Yeah. So we'll come back to this, because this will definitely play a part later on. But I think we can get to now. So she does that interview with Screenslaver, and then she's basically like, I got to get out of here as fast as I can.
Yes.
And this is where Screenslaver starts talking to everyone and has this message about we don't like playing games, we like watching games on reality TV and stuff like that.
Yeah, talking about we don't like doing things, we like watching other people do things, and then Elastigirl busting in and quote unquote stopping Screenslaver. So that was the part that I missed, part of that monologue. Okay.
The monologue while she's going through the city, which I thought was really, really cool shots there.
Yeah. It was it was it was nice. It was cool seeing the tone be brought down in this very ominous and sinister swing through the city, trying to get to where the Screenslaver signal is coming from.
So let's talk about this concept of the Screenslaver, because this is where I was interested. I wanted to know what exactly was said, which I'm sure you don't have memorized. I'm looking forward to being able to rewatch this and hearing what that whole line was. But I was wondering about if this was a statement that the movie was making. I think it definitely makes you wonder, what if people took these movie theaters and just hypnotized everyone and controlled people like that?
I mean, there's definitely a statement being made about how people are more often than not experiencing something through somebody else's eyes watching on the screen, and then becoming a self-proclaimed expert in this, or just choosing not to do anything with their own life because they're just enjoying watching other people do things with their lives. And I think that was the Screenslaver's pretend reason for being a villain. And then, of course, later you find out that it's the real purpose of the Screenslaver is to permanently tarnish the image of supers, but through the guise of this figure who is looking to take over the minds of people as they, watch TV or are on their computers, or
I was wondering if there was a statement in this movie of people are a slave to technology now and to their screens.
I don't know if there was a statement about
or just
that.
thought.
I think the statement itself is a red herring, because at this point in our life with technology is just part of who we are. Like, to have a movie that is trying to make a statement about dependency on technology would be like a movie that makes fun of us for wanting to use cars instead of walking 20 miles. It's just something that's like part of our life, and anyone who makes fun of other people for using technology is not self-aware enough to realize that they're also using technology, especially because the Screenslaver uses technology to convey his anti-tech message. But that's just me. That's just my opinion on what that was. I think it was just a red herring than an actual statement.
I thought it was just an interesting thing to think about. Definitely.
For sure.
Do you have any thoughts on Jack's powers? Well, we'll go back to... We're kind of all over the place here, but this is where we're going to go next, is what exactly are his powers? Do we know?
I think they mentioned something about... They said something about how I guess supers as like babies exhibit a bunch of crazy powers, and then later as they grow older they settle into whatever their actual thing is. So I think Jack is just experiencing that. It's almost like a superpower puberty, which I think makes sense in my mind, but I like the idea of Jack just kind of being, having this crazy amount of everything going on. But I like his it seems like his main focus is maybe shape-shifting. He seems to transform a lot into stuff. Like, he transforms into the demon baby, he transforms into like a ball of lead.
He can multiply himself.
Fire. He can multiply, It seems like he definitely is... It seems like his power is centered around manipulating reality. Is I think his power.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So, is there anything around here? I mean, we touched on a lot of this. Is there anything here that you wanted to talk a little more about before we get to this?
No, I think talking about Jack and Edna is the perfect
the natural.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, especially with Jack's powers and having Edna have this new playground for a brand new superhero to make outfits for and stuff, and
they're a perfect match for each other.
Oh yeah, I loved how Jack was just able to completely emulate Edna and just like have like a mini me.
It was great. So that was so Robert Parr, he needs some help with this baby, and this is a realistic depiction of someone who's sleep deprived. I like that. Yes.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that was so relatable. So many times, so many nights where I've been working on a project or doing something, and the next day I'm on my last
and a lot of times in movies, like whether they're live action or if it's a cartoon, we never see the fallout from, I stayed up all night doing this. So I like that they really took a part of this movie to show how exhausted he was.
Right. He definitely, you could see that there are some things Mr. Incredible can't come back from. Yeah. Yeah.
And he's a superhero, too, so you'd think he'd have more stamina than most people.
Right, and you see, I mean, he had gotten, I think, he gets hit by cars and destroyed by giant robots and stuff, and then this little baby takes him down.
That's great. I love that.
Yeah.
There's that fun diner scene, which we mentioned.
Right. Yeah.
But he calls in, he needs help, and we knew it was going to Edna right when he said he needed help, right?
Right away.
It was a natural point to bring her in, and
yeah. And
you
if there's
have
anyone,
to love Edna Mode.
Of course, and if there's anyone who knows how to accommodate for superpowers, it's Edna.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this was a great little appearance that takes up a little bit of the movie, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I liked it a lot.
So then I think the next part of this is when Elastigirl busts the screenslaver. She receives all this acknowledgement and whatnot. And in the meantime, while we've talked about Evelyn, Winston is riding this high. He's like just loving life.
Right. This is a real win for him, he thinks.
Yeah.
They're celebrating the arrest of the screenslaver, and but Elastigirl feels like it was just too easy. This is not supposed to be that easy when you have a villain of that caliber.
Which we know because we know we are not at the end of the movie here.
Right, yeah, that's definitely not the climax. But, and so seeing her kind of like reviewing the footage from her suit's body cam and stuff, and thinking about the evidence of this guy was just like a pizza delivery kid before that, and you're telling me he's like a super genius.
Yeah. And Winston, Tommy, if you didn't notice this by now, he's a little bit naive.
He's got a little bit of a tunnel vision. He seems to count all of his chickens before they hatch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So meanwhile, we find out what's really going on. Evelyn's plan. Her motivation here is, I gotta get rid of these superheroes because they hurt me when I was little. They weren't there, and why should we try to be dependent on them if they can't help us?
Right. What's so great about superheroes if they can't do their job?
Yep.
Yeah. And kind of becoming disillusioned with people who are supposed to protect you, and and that's the big reveal, and then she puts her hypnotizing goggles on Elastigirl.
Yeah.
And Elastigirl becomes her first puppet.
And I was like, dang it, because I'm like, oh no, not Elastigirl, because I really wanted to see her kick more butt, and now she's going to be used as a pawn here.
Yeah. Oh, man. But then, and then she calls in Robert. Robert gets Frozone to babysit.
Yep.
Then,
which is fun.
Yeah.
I love how Frozone, I think he came in a little bit before he exactly had to leave, but he's like, I need a little help here also. And Frozone's going to help me with the kids.
Right.
They love him. Everyone loves Frozone.
Uncle Lucius.
Yeah. Yeah, he's uncle now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and then you see a little Mr. Incredible Elastigirl fight.
Oh, that was great.
Yeah.
That was so funny.
Uh-huh. But then, then Elastigirl tricks him into letting his guard down so she gets the glasses on him. Yep. Yeah.
There was that really funny part with the Incredibile.
Yes, the Incredibile. Yeah, there we go. Mr. Incredible's vehicle.
His ride.
Yeah, that's right. I loved seeing Jack Dash get his hands on the remote and just like steal it from that billionaire.
Yeah, so then this is really the home stretch of the movie here.
Yeah, we're coming up on everything's coming to a head.
Yeah, so we know this is where, as we talked about in the first Incredibles podcast, which you were a spectator for.
That's right. I listened to it. I enjoyed it. Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate it. But we talked about the part where you catch the villain monologuing.
That's right.
Or that Geico commercial. As long as villains explain their plans, you can count on Geico saving folks money.
That's right.
So that's what happens. She tells us what her plans are. And
right.
Now, it ends up being... So now they send all these supers to the house, which is just great because they know exactly where they live.
Exactly. Yeah, they've got the exact location because they gave them the location.
Yeah.
The location is theirs. Right.
And meanwhile, Winston is working on the superhero summit that's going to, basically, they're going to televise, we're going to make superheroes legal, we're going to put it on TV, and so this is the big thing, and she's like, I'm going to sabotage that entire thing.
Right, yeah, and then this is the perfect chance to show that supers are bad, because she can just say that Elastigirl and all the other supers drove the boat into the city, and then just start like going to town and everyone there. A perfect chance to show that supers are not to be trusted.
Yeah, so we could, at this point, I think we could tell this is going to be setting up where it's going to be all on the kids, which I love this aspect of now the kids have to be the ones to be the heroes. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, it was great to see them have their time to shine and exhibit their powers, and just like in the first movie, to be able to prove themselves and show that they are capable of being heroes right now.
And for the first, like, basically everything up to this point, they're basically bored. They have to do math homework, be crying, eating ice cream, no dates, like, struggling
with being a teenager.
Yeah. And Dash, you know, he's got so much energy and he can't use his powers, and so here they are, they're called into action. They have to take care of Jack while they're doing this.
Yeah.
But they also have a little bit of an idea that Jack could be a weapon they can use.
Right. They start to realize as they escape that Jack is able to at least do something, and they don't seem to have full control over it yet. But with him in the suit, they're able to at least weaponize him a bit and used him as like a little like laser gun.
Yeah, that was so good. I love that.
Yeah, that was really great.
It's fun when they're in the yard and they're playing with Jack.
Yeah.
Like, he's got powers.
Yeah. And then when the other supers come to attack, and then Lucius goes down like a hero for them until he gets hypnotized.
Yep.
But
he buys them time.
Right. Man, what a G.
He's great.
Yeah.
So now here we are. Now we're going, everything's coming to a head on this cruise ship.
That's right. Yeah, so they get out there and they're able to one by one get the glasses off of everybody and save them. And then there's like missiles, right? The missiles started coming down on them. Or is that what's happening? No.
Well, they had to turn the boat.
That's right.
Then they have to go up to get. So Void's shooting her Elastigirl through the portals.
That's right. Yes. Well, yeah, she's shooting
into the plane
through the portals, getting her. Giving her more and more momentum.
And we have another callback here to another Incredibles darker thing where they're drinking alcohol. Oh no! Drinking alcohol in a PIXAR movie.
That's right.
But she's basically acting all silly because she's up way high in the air and not getting enough oxygen.
That's right. Yeah, she was losing oxygen, and then she had to take on screen slaver while losing brain cells.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what stuck out to you here on the cruise ship? What were you liking?
Oh man, I mean, I think the most fun part was seeing the fight happen between all the other supers and just getting to see new powers and all the possibilities that can be unleashed with that. But also, to be fully honest, there was. At that point, I was just in full-on, like, need-to-pee mode, and I was like...
Oh, no.
I was just like, I can't leave because it's the climax, but I have to go so bad.
Man, were you drinking, like, a lot of pop or something?
Yeah, we had just had dinner at a place, and it was just... I forget what day it was, but it was just a really hot day, so I was just loading up on water, which was not good.
Oh, boy. We won't go into too much depth on that.
Well, let me tell you about that right now. So I get to the bathroom, and then
oh boy, you're gonna be lucky to come back after the hate mail I get here. No, I'm glad to have you.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, I really love. There's that Crusher guy, I think.
Yeah,
and they're like, you have to uncrush, and it just wrecks his brain. He's like, uncrush? Oh, whatever.
Yeah. He's like, but I crush.
It was cool that Void got to step up and be a hero.
Yeah.
And work with her hero, Elastigirl.
Right. I thought that was great. I hope if they ever make an Incredibles 3, it'd be fun to see more of Void.
Yeah.
In the next one, I could see a lot of potential with like maybe Void and Violet like doing some work together.
Definitely.
And, yeah, I think that would be sweet.
That was definitely what I was going to ask you, is if you think there's a future for a third movie, because as I had mentioned, we'd like to see some of these characters maybe in a few years, see what Jack's like as a little kid,
right.
And maybe the parents have to work off a little more rust. And do you think there's a potential there? Do you think they want to go in that direction?
I think there's some potential there. I think that there could be a movie about them being like, okay, so we have a reputation back.
Now
heroes
we're
are legal again. Yeah, and seeing what they do moving forward, and kind of moving away now from the public opinion plot line. And I think, this is kind of I think public opinion plots and are kind of staples in superhero stuff. And I think they can move on to another staple plot in superhero things, which would be recognizing, well, like, does our presence create supervillains?
Yeah.
Like, like the whole Batman thing where it's like, well, the Joker and Penguin and Mr. Freeze and all them, they didn't come up until I put on the mask. It was just me beating up gangsters at first, and now we got freaks in masks taking me on too. So it'd be interesting to see that for the third one.
Yeah, I would love to see that.
Yeah.
I think that'd be great.
Yeah.
How about the topic of going back to screenslaver? Was there any kind of statement here, do you think, that they were making with fake news? Was that a topic?
Fake news, huh?
Where you put it on a screen and people are going to believe it?
I think maybe there might have been some. No, I'm not sure. That's a good question. I need to rewatch it.
No, I just think it was.
Yeah.
I think it was fun looking at a lot of things from the PR lens, the media lens, and the idea. You think of screenslaver. Ooh, what's that?
Right.
So.
Right. Yeah.
Hypnotism on the news stations. What's not?
Right. Yeah. The idea of people believing anything and they see it on a screen and they think like, oh, it must be legitimate. Yeah. So there have been a couple times where I'll be like, so I enjoy the website Babylon Bee.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
Such a funny
so
website.
Great.
Yeah. The times I'll either read like a Babylon Bee article or an Onion article, and there's always somebody who thinks that this is legitimate.
Yeah.
And they're like, this is disgusting. How could someone believe this is actually? How can someone think this is okay? Yeah.
Oh man. So overall, what did you think of this movie?
Oh, I thought it was great. I think it's enjoyable. I can't wait to see it again.
Yeah.
Me too. I'd like to see it again in theaters if I ever find the time for it, or there's so many movies out there I got to see though.
How does it measure up to the original for you?
I think I liked it just as much as the original.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it was just as good.
So tied in your PIXAR rankings now?
My PIXAR top 5 rankings. Yeah.
It was really good.
Yeah.
It was basically, it was a good sequel. It had the same comedy aspect. It had the same clever wittiness to it. Yeah. But we didn't even talk about the final ending where they finally go on the date. Yeah. And then they're called into action again. And that was really funny. They had the great part where they're all putting on the masks. It's like another callback to the first movie.
Right.
And they do a cut to Tony, and he has no idea what's going on.
Right. They just, kick him out of the car.
Yeah, go buy some popcorn, buy tickets. We'll see you later. We'll be back in a little bit. Yeah. And I was surprised Violet went with them, too.
Me, too. I was thinking, she finally got this date, and, you'd think that she'd just be like, oh, I'll sit this one out. And,
we got 3 heroes here and Jack, so I feel like it'd be fine. You guys got it. Don't worry. I'm finally going on this date.
I know I definitely feel the temptation of just being like, you guys got this. It's not going to be... we fought off Syndrome, we fought off the screenslaver. How bad could this third person be? But,
I think that shows, though, even though she acts like a teenager and she's embarrassed by her family and whatnot, that she does really enjoy the hero work.
Yeah, it was nice to see that it's definitely not something that she resents being and that she's embracing it.
Yeah, she's not embarrassed by it. She thinks it's fun. But you would think she might be, above it and oh, this is so lame. Or, I'll do it when you guys need me to, but
Right.
nice family aspect of it.
Yeah, for sure. And it's so fun too, just seeing like them make a family business out of superhero.
Yeah. And I went to see this with my family, so
Nice.
great family film. Great.
Actually, that would be an interesting concept for a third Incredibles movie.
Yeah.
Is they've been doing this family thing for a while, and now they've kind of grown up more, and then like Violet or Dash or something is like, you know what, I want to be a solo act now. I'm gonna be my own hero.
Spin-off movie.
Yeah, just an interesting thing. Not even just a spin-off movie, but just seeing the band
break up.
Yeah, the band break up and everyone wanting to do their own thing. Like with Batman and his first Robin being like, no, forget this. I don't want to follow your orders anymore. I'm going to be Nightwing now.
Yeah.
I'm going to go over to the town next door and I'm going to be a hero there.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah.
Or the idea of maybe they're disjointed years in the future and the hero work is what brings them together.
Yeah, that too. That would be good. That'd be interesting to see. Yeah, like maybe they've just done too good of a job superheroing and there's nothing really to be heroes about anymore, so they just kind of all go off and they're like selling insurance or something. And
I know it's really hard to compare, but where do the Incredibles movies stack up in terms of your favorite superhero films?
Favorite superhero films? Ooh, that's hard. I think... Okay, if we're comparing it to other superhero films, it's definitely lower on the totem pole. But it's also a not fair comparison just because of, I love like Spider-Man and the Avengers and all of that was just, like a big part of growing up, and they had just a bigger presence in my life because they just generated more content. So there's a lot more emotional connection to those things, I think. But how about you?
Yeah, it's really hard to compare. I wasn't expecting to be put on the spot. I normally ask the questions. No, I'm giving you a hard time. I don't know. They probably somewhere out in the top 5.
Yeah.
Nice. I'm a big fan. The first Avengers movie was pretty high up there for me. The first 2 Spider-Man movies. And I love the X-Men. I think that's like the standard for superhero. And then, again, I don't really like to compare DC in there, too, because it's such a different tone compared to Marvel. So it's really hard to compare them. It's not a fair question on my end.
Yeah. Overall, it was a solid movie. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was the first movie I've seen in theaters in over a year and a half because of my health.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one to come back to.
Yeah, I was like, I'm going to see Incredibles 2.
Yes, for sure.
Next one on my list is Uncle Drew.
Uncle Drew looks good, too.
Yeah. And I know you're not as big a sports fan, but all those ex-NBA players and WNBA, too, Lisa Leslie, they're all showing up. So it'll be really fun. I heard their acting chops were not bad.
Wow. Uncle Drew did look hilarious, so I'm excited to see that.
What's on any, just give me couple quick hits here. What's on your list for the summer?
List for the summer to see?
Yeah.
Does that include stuff I've already seen, or?
Coming up.
Let's see. Coming up, Ant-Man and the Wasp coming up. I think it's this weekend.
Oh, wow.
I'm excited
Yeah, we're in
for
July
that.
already.
Yeah, right? Ant-Man and the Wasp I'm excited for. And then, as far as summer movies go, I think Ant-Man and the Wasp was the last one that I was, really pumped about. Because then we already had Incredibles 2, we already had Avengers, we had Deadpool 2. This one also just came out that I really want to see is Won't You Be My Neighbor?
Oh.
Which is it's a documentary, but it's all about Mr. Rogers, and I've heard.
Oh, yeah.
I've heard it's fantastic.
Cool.
There's I want to see that one. Definitely bring a tissue box. I also want to see. I think this one's coming more in November, but the Christopher Robin movie.
Oh, yeah.
Just super heartwarming and wonderful, and
Cool.
I think those would be good.
Sweet. So, Tommy, lastly, is there anything that you would like to promote? You want to promote your film services for anyone who's interested? You want to give out social media handles, anything of that nature?
Yeah, if anyone wants to hit me up for some to make some kind of a short film or needs my services, make any kind of advertisements ideas, you can hit me up at WeberTommy3 at iCloud.com. I think that's a good email to reach me at. And then I think, I really need to, you can also, if you want to see some of my work, you can visit my website, which is www.tommyweber.wix.com/my-site. You have to include the my site, otherwise it doesn't show up. But
yeah,
that's
and
where you can
you've
see.
done a lot of video editing. You've made films.
Yeah, I made some films. I made some stuff that's won awards in film festivals.
Congrats!
Thank you. Yeah, I've got a short horror movie coming out soon.
Whoa!
Called Hold Your Breath, which will be making the rounds in film festivals, and then will eventually be out for distribution. But keep your eyes out for that.
Great.
And then, other than that, you can visit my IMDb page and see what else I'm working on.
And if people want to read, if you do tweet about any movies or shows that you watch?
Not as often as I should. I should definitely get more of a Twitter presence out there.
Do you want to give the Twitter just in case?
No, I think I need to. I think I need to make a.
Okay.
I have my personal Twitter account, but I think I need to make like a different Twitter account for professional stuff.
All right.
Yeah,
Sounds good. Well, Tommy, thank you so much for coming out here, doing this show with me. Hopefully we'll do another one sometime.
My pleasure.
It was a lot of fun. You did a great job.
Thank you. You too. You're a good host.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Really appreciate that. Thanks for supporting the show, coming out here. A lot of fun.
My pleasure.
And so great to see you after all these years.
Good to see you too.
So there you have it. Tommy Weber coming in clutch. Man, had a great time talking Incredibles 2 with him. And I hope that if you just saw this movie and you were interested, you didn't have anyone to talk about it with, we were able to provide some thought there for you, something that you felt like you could participate in. And I know I really enjoyed the movie. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to talk about. So thank you to everyone for listening. Coming up on the podcast, should be some sports stuff coming up soon with NBA free agency kicked into high gear. I can't believe LeBron's already playing on another team, and we're not even at the 4th of July, and we know where he's going to be playing next year. I know that was a hot button topic, so that should be a lot of fun to talk about. In addition to that, got to talk MLB All-Star rosters. Eventually, we'll get there with Jordan Morandini. Haven't gotten there yet, but we will. So we'll be giving you some sports content soon. Later in the summer, hopefully do some more of these movie podcasts. I really enjoy them. Maybe talk some more video games. And yeah, it's been a lot of fun. So thank you so much to everyone who's been listening to the podcast. If you'd like to support the podcast, subscribe to Press On Sports on iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts. We're now on Spotify. You can listen to us on Spotify now. And if you want to give us a review on iTunes, that'd be great. We don't have any reviews yet. So if you want to give us that 5-star review and comment on what you like, feel free to, at any point, tweet me your thoughts at Velvita7. That's at VELLVITA7. I love participating in the conversation. So what did you think of the new movie? What did you think of The Incredibles? Go ahead and tweet me your thoughts. I'd love to talk about it or talk some backyard baseball, sports, whatever it is. So go ahead. You can find me on there. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. Other than that, I'm good for now. Bring in the dancing lobsters.